What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Booth on the DJ Julz channel. Thank you guys for always commenting, liking, subscribing. Appreciate you guys. Today we have my man Sasin in the building. If you guys haven't seen, we just did up here R&B mix. We floated through some different years of R&B, so it's definitely super dope. But welcome, my man DJ Sasin in the building. What's going on, my man? How you feeling?
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I enjoyed that mix.
Feeling great.
Yeah.
No, me too.
It was a great time, man. And if you guys haven't seen, also we did the unboxing as well.
Yeah, check out PLXs, Cross 12s.
Yeah.
Check out both the mix and the review.
Yes, so definitely it was a grand time. Sasin, let's start from the beginning. So,
all right.
What got you into DJing?
I've been a musician my whole life.
Okay.
Like, my dad is a singer-songwriter, guitar player,
nice.
Since very young. My mom is a concert pianist. I don't know, like, she's not like, world renowned or anything.
No, but still.
Yeah, she's been playing since she was like 4 years old.
That's her full time.
No, she does it on the side,
Nice.
like for churches.
That's
all
what's
the
up.
time. Yeah.
That's
and
what's
then I started getting into music like around middle school time.
Okay.
Like, my parents had always tried to push the music thing on me, like, since very young. I know, like, I did some singing performances when I was like 3, 4.
Nice.
I barely even remember, but like, I did it, right? And then I tried doing piano like maybe around like 4 years old. Didn't like it. And then like 6th grade, my dad got me a guitar, like a small guitar, perfect for my size, right? And I think it was like from that movie School of Rock with Jack Black.
Yes.
I watched that and I'm like, yo, I want to be a rock star.
Yes. Oh, bro, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I love that movie. And ever since then, I started playing guitar. And then, like, in high school, I was playing like 8 hours every day. Like, I loved music during that time. And then I wanted to do music in some way, shape, or form, like either as a job or even as like in school, right? So I was doing like music theory, and then I was doing music composition in college. So I was still studying music during that time, and it was like 2010. I was just dabbling around with music stuff, right? And one of my friends started DJing like the year before I became a freshman, and I started watching him do it. And he would just come over and he would just DJ for me on virtual DJ. And I'm like, that's actually pretty dope, right? And like, it was kind of weird for me at that time because I only listened to rock and metal and classical and like video game music. So I was like, I didn't listen to pop music. I didn't listen to any hip hop music. Maybe like underground hip hop, but not like
mainstream.
No, I didn't even know who Biggie was. I didn't know a single Biggie song. I think I knew Changes by Tupac, but that's because it's how popular that song was.
Yeah.
But I didn't know popular music. But like, one day, freshman year of college, I asked him like, I want to try that out. That seems really cool. Like, how do I get into it, right? And he just gave me everything. Like, he gave me virtual DJ, cracked with like all the skins. He gave me all his music. The Serato. They had like the Serato skins, and then they also had the CDJ skins that makes it look like the CDJ 400s or the 800s.
That's tight.
Yeah, it was pretty tight. And he gave me all his music, all right, and was like, the world is your oyster. Like, this is how you do a basic transition, with the showing me how to actually use the faders, right, on the virtual DJ with
using
my mouse.
the mouse.
Yeah, mouse and keyboard. And then showing me how to like cut out the basses and switching. And I was like, dude, this is amazing, right? And then I just had a blast because I was like, wow, I can literally mix like Aha with like Rick Ross. Yeah. And it's possible. Yeah. Like, I never would have thought like that was something that was possible, right? And then ever since then, right, like I think I did my first gig like within the first month. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was college, right? So one of my friends, he was throwing a rager for his birthday, right? I think his 18th or 19th birthday. And he was like, yo, we're having it at my brother's house, like off campus, and I need a DJ. And I'm like, bro, I could DJ. And he's like, do you know how? I'm like, not really. I just picked it up. And he's like, bet I'd be down for that.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, I'm doing my first gig in the next 3 weeks. So yeah, and after that night, I was like, I couldn't see myself doing this for a long time.
Wow.
Because I just enjoyed it that much. Like, I was like, wow, like, I can control the party, right? Based on just what I'm playing and how I'm playing it. And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, I could definitely see myself, like, doing this as a career or even just as a passionate thing, right? That I do on the side, so.
That's dope. And what did you, so after Virtual DJ, what equipment did you get afterwards?
So I stayed on Virtual DJ for like another 3 years. I bought the Hercules RMX just as a step up from, the mouse and keyboard game. And then, dude, I was so torn during that time because controllers started popping up left and right? They had I think the SZ just came out during that time. They had the Newmark NS7 1, and I think the 2 was about to come out. So, like, the controller game was just blowing up. Like, not just the $6,000 setup requirement, or even, a Technic setup with the mixer, right? Like, because back then, that's what it was. When I started, it was like, if you want to actually learn how to DJ, you need actual hardware, right? Yeah. And, that friend that taught me, I remember I went to his house one time right after he taught me how to do the basics, and he had a CDJ setup. Wow. Yeah, he had, like, I think the CDJ 1000 MK3s, and then he also had the 909.
909 for
Pioneer.
Pioneer? Oh.
Yeah, the DJM 909.
909, I don't know.
It's the battle mixer that had it's not like this, it's like a little switch up, similar to the...
it's a Pioneer one?
Yeah. Had the screen right in the middle, too.
Okay.
But that was like...
Oh, I think it was like a yellow screen or something like that? I think I do. I remember that, yeah.
That one was just really popular back then. But he had that setup, and I was like, bro, how much does that even cost, right? And he's like, it's a lot. Wow. And I'm like, if I want to actually learn how to beat match, like, that's what I would need to buy, right? And I'm like, I don't have that kind of money in college. So I stuck with that up until like 2014. And I was like, okay, so I have the option here. Like, I don't have the money, but I can, like, finance for, either a CDJ setup or Technic setup. But then, the NS7 II just came out. I'm like, that's looking pretty good right now, right? Like, it's still vinyl feel without needing, actual Technics and vinyl and needle. So I'm like, why not go with that? So I got the NS7 II right after that. And I didn't even, like, I always wanted to learn vinyl because when I first started, I was watching Red Bull 3 Style a lot. Wow. So my favorite DJs back then were like AM, Four Color Zach, Trentino, like, who else? Trays from DC, right? Like, all these people, I was like, that's what I want to do. Like, they're doing stuff that's not regular everyday stuff. Exactly. So, like, that's what I was, like, influenced by as a DJ. But, you can't do that without a setup. Like,
that's true. That's very true. It's more challenging to do that with, like, a beginner setup,
Yeah, for sure. Especially back then, dude, like that Hercules RMX. Yeah. You cannot scratch on that thing. It was impossible.
It's kind of crazy how now beginner setups right now, you can do more than you did, like what you said with the first setup you got. Like, even the beginner setups right now, you can still do a decent amount of stuff.
I mean, the setup I have in my bag that I carry around all the time, it's a Hercules Starlight, right? Scratch on that.
The little one? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You can scratch on that like no tomorrow. And it's thing costs like $80.
Hey, it can get you. Hey, if you need it in a pinch.
That's why I always carry it in my bag.
Wow. So you went from the Hercules, and after Hercules, you got the NS7 II.
Yep.
And after NS7 II,
I stuck with controllers for another few years.
Okay.
So I think after that, I had the SC2, and then that's where I was like, dude, I had enough with, like, just the controller game, because, like, scratching is just hard to, like, get to, to a further point with just the controller.
Yeah.
You just don't get the same kind of feel you would on vinyl. Yeah. Right? So I bought the Rain 12s, and I was like, okay, this is where I actually improve, right? Yeah. And I got those, used those, used the crap out of them until recently, and I got the Cross 12s like this past 2 months ago.
Wow, that's tight.
It's been
It's
been amazing since.
I love it. I love to hear the transitional stories.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So after so you got the gear, and after you got the gear, when did you start making that transition into like playing more parties or getting into the nightlife scene?
Yeah. So after that first gig, I didn't think it would be so much of like a side hustle or even as much of a career as it is today, right? I was like, I could see myself doing this for fun on the side, right? But shortly after, especially during that time, it was like everyone was starting to become DJs because like controllers started coming out. So like, there was a lot of demand for DJs. That was like, a lot of people consider that like the golden age of EDM, right? With Avicii, Deadmau5, like blowing up, right? So like, DJs were pretty popular at that time. Everyone wanted one. So I was doing a lot of college parties, frat parties, house parties at like off campus at Rutgers, private events for like Rutgers, like student organizations, a lot of stuff like that. And I was doing that for years, even after I graduated, up until like 2015, 2016.
Okay.
So like 5-6 years down the line, I was still doing frat parties for like nothing. Like it was like $50 maybe.
Yeah.
And like I had to stop because it wasn't helping, right? Like pay wise, it's like I'm bringing a full setup. Like my NS7 II with 2 highs, speaker stands, a table, right, a facade, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting paid $50 for this shit right now. It was rough. It was rough times, and like 2016 is when I really was like, I'm gonna sit down and like try to get into this DJ scene, right? Like in the nightlife scene, whether it's in the bars, right, around Rutgers or anywhere within Jersey. So I was pushing those Rutgers bars a lot, and I started DJing Scarlet Pub. That's a pretty popular spot on that strip of Easton.
Okay.
And I was doing that for like 2 years before I was like, I want something more, right?
Yeah.
It's the college bar scene, right?
Yeah.
It can only get you so far.
Yeah.
So then it was 2017. I met some people in the city who were already like residents for some of the big nightclubs, and I told them like, whenever you need an opener, closer, like I'll do it, right? And I knew like the opportunity cost of like just going that route, because it's a big step from going from the Rutgers bars or even the New Jersey bars to then going to New York nightlife scene.
So then eventually you got the opportunity to open or close for one of these.
Yeah. So after like basically like months of begging, right, and just being like, I could do it, right? I finally got the shot. I did, I guess, well enough that he was like, all right, I'll give you another shot, right?
Wow.
And maybe after like the fifth time, he realized like, okay, you're serious, right? Like you remind me of a younger version of me because you're just hungry for this, right? And like, I knew that like, even though I wasn't getting paid or barely paid, right, to cover for him, like I knew that this is how I get into this scene, right? It's like, you just have to pay your dues, right? Like any other corporate ladder.
That's facts. So when did you know that you were going to take this step from opening and closing for one of these individuals, and then now you were starting to get the calls to do these different spots in the city?
I mean, it's a long journey up, right? Especially in the New York scene. Like, a lot of people forget that New York is like the birthplace of hip hop, right? And it's literally a mecca for DJs, right? Like think about it, like Kool Herc, Grandmaster Flash, right? Like they literally created DJing as it is
really
today,
dope.
right? Like it's not like there were no DJs before that, but like, if you really like dig into the history, like DJs were not scratching. They were not even touching the vinyl. They were like carefully like taking off vinyls and switching it, right? And like there was no such thing as like actual beat matching and using breaks, right? Or scratching and all this stuff that exists now, right? And you know, because of that, there's just a lot more DJs than anywhere else. That at least that's what I feel, because even going to other cities, right? You see a lot of different rates as well as different skill levels than you would see in New York. Right? New York, it's like you literally see like the tadpoles who are just starting out all the way up to the people who've been there for like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Who are still like playing the nightlife scene. It's wild. It's really a dog world out there.
That's a fact. Now, so since you've been dealing a lot with corporate nightlife, how has that experience been? Because I know corporate nightlife is different from just doing a regular bar, where it's just like you're talking directly with the owner.
Yeah.
Versus when you like, how is that? Because I know like pay, it might take a long time to get your pay.
Definitely,
like that.
definitely.
What has your experience been like that? Like
it's hard, man. Like I think, especially in New York, right? When you're dealing with like accounts that own a lot of spots, right? Not just one club. It could be like several restaurants, several lounges, several clubs, right? It's like you have to, meet a lot of key players in those spots, right? But then also the stakes are higher. They expect a lot more, right, in terms of your work ethic, but then also like expectation on like what you should be playing, right? I feel like, for example, like if you were to play a spot in New Jersey, right? Like let's say some random town, right, that has a local bar spot, right? You could probably be playing like all the to the locals, like let's say all the locals are like Zoomers who just like pop music, like throwbacks and stuff, right? And you could just play whatever you want that's in that era, even if it's cheesy, right? But like you go to New York and you play one of these corporate nightlife spots, right, that own half the city in terms of the hospitality world. It's like if they catch, like let's say one of the partners are there and they catch you playing a song they don't like, they'd be like, never book that guy again.
Wow.
But they won't tell you that.
Wow.
They'll just not book you again, and then you're just like, what happened? You don't know what you did wrong.
Wow.
Until you beg to come back, right? Or they finally give you another shot and you have to prove yourself again. So I've seen that a lot, and I've experienced that. It's like they're willing to kick you to the curb because of the expectations are higher. And another thing I notice is like it's less about you playing for yourself or the crowd. You're always playing for what the staff and the business wants. So like if they tell you we only want hip hop tonight, they better not catch you playing like Katy Perry or something when they don't want you to. Unless they tell you to. Unless they're like, we just got this person who spent like thousands of dollars for a table, a bottle service, you better play that. And they'll tell you play it now. And it doesn't matter what you're playing at that time, you have to play it.
So you
right
might have
now.
to switch the genre just like
instantly. Like you have to train wreck. It doesn't matter. Like
if you don't have the song, do you download it real quick or play it off your phone?
have to, yeah. Otherwise you'll look really bad.
Wow.
And yeah, that's just the kind of expectations they have, right? Like it's like they look at you as a glorified like playlist player or like a jukebox, but like that's kind of what comes with the territory in those spots, because there's a lot more money, right? And I guess like more like higher figure people going into those spots, right? Sure. Like because you can catch celebrities in those spots all the time,
for sure.
Or people who have like an absurd amount of money, right? Or power in.
They want to be hospitable to those clients.
Exactly.
That's their clients.
Yeah, I mean they're the ones bringing in the money for the night.
That is very true.
So yeah, it's the expectations are definitely higher, and you don't know who's going to be there or who's listening. So like you always kind of want to be on top of.
Gotta be on your A game.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't think it's so much about your DJing ability as much as like what you're playing. Right? So it's not about the technical skills at all. It's really just about like, can you play the right thing at the right time and keep the vibe that we want, right? And then like, let's say you get requests, right? You have to like literally shoo them away a lot of times. I've witnessed so many DJs like literally like tell people to fuck off at those clubs, even when they're throwing like $100 bill in their face.
Wow.
And it's because, you know, that's not something that they're allowed to play or the venue wants. And yeah, that's just like the kind of expectations that they have there. Wow. It's wild.
And what would you say would be what's one of your best experiences that you've had DJing? And then what's one of your worst experiences?
That's tough. Best experiences.
It could be someone gave you a compliment, someone noticed a transition or wordplay you did.
It's hard to say because there's different levels to it, right? It's like,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's like there's nights where, you know, you can get massive tips, right? Because there's been nights I've gotten like $500 just thrown at me, like just hundreds. Every time I did a transition, they're just like going crazy, and they're just like, take my money every single time. Right?
You're like, no problem.
Yeah, like okay. And then they ask for one song, and I'm like, of course I'm gonna play that. You just gave me $500, right? Like, why wouldn't I? Yeah. I mean, I always love those moments, right? But then I'm also very humble for like some of the opportunities of like getting to open for like big acts, right? Like even if it's for like private events, like corporate private events, like dude, there's always some weird like things that you don't see put out in the public, right? That you just get to play for like some really important and cool parties, right? Like an example would be like I did a corporate event, right? And I opened and closed for Pitbull, but it was a corporate event in a club. Wow. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing, and like.
Wow. So it was a private event.
Yep, private event at a club, right? Like a corporate club, and like Pitbull even did a
DJ set.
No, he did a
signing.
Yeah, he did a set, like a performance. Because he was on tour, so they actually set up his own stage, lighting crew, LED screens, like in the club over the club system. Wow. Yeah, and like the
budget.
Yep. And the company, you know, that hired him, right? They literally paid for all that. Wow. And he was in the middle of his tour, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to book him for our company party." Wow. Yeah. It was wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, it was very wild.
That's a great experience.
It was. I mean, I wish I got to actually talk to him. Yeah. But dude, it was like
it's fast.
He performed like 5 songs. They turned off all the lights, and they literally pulled him out of there when no one saw him. He was like Batman, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I can imagine. They're just like, all right, we're done. We got paid. Yeah.
Yeah, you know literally. It was pretty crazy, but it was awesome. Like those kinds of experiences, like you can't, like even if you don't get paid as much, right? It's like you can't really.
The opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's just so much opportunity in that, and like such a out there experience that you wouldn't normally
goes
get.
On the press kit.
Yeah, exactly. Right on the press kit.
Now, what would you say is like one of your maybe not worst, but one of your not so greatest times DJing?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of a very specific one. I mean, I've had times where like, you know, like management is just not having a great day, right? But like because you're not doing what they want you to do, like even if they didn't actually like for example, I had one night where I think it was like the first time I was playing at this spot, right, this corporate spot, and oh man, they told me in the beginning of the night, like, yeah, just kind of keep this like pop vibe, right? And I'm like, all right. And that was my first time playing there, so I was not told, do not take requests, right? Do not play anything that does not fit in that realm, even if it's a remix or a mashup. They didn't say anything like that. They just expected me to do that. And of course, you know, it was a busy night, I'm sure the guy just wasn't having a great day, right? So like the moment he heard me even play like a I think it was like a Garacha remix of WAP, right? He came up to me and was like, what did I tell you about not playing that song, right? Or like not playing pop music. I'm like, WAP is only like Cardi's only in this song for like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And he freaked out at me, and I'm just like, oh man, that like completely dampened my night, right? And then like you know, he came up again, and I knew he was like, you know, disappointed at like, or watching and listening to what I'm playing, and I'm like, man, this is gonna...
It affects the whole night.
Yeah, it does.
The whole night, yeah.
Right? And it's like I'm being more careful than ever on like, what do I play? But then I'm already like rattled on like, well, I just got yelled at. Right? For something I thought wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, and hip hop is the new pop, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's hard when it comes to like, you know, some of the more like high end spots, especially in the city. It's like you think you know what you're supposed to play, but you don't know who's gonna say something or who's gonna be like, I don't want you to play that. Yeah. So you have to be really careful. That's why it's like as I was saying earlier, it's less about like how you're playing and way more about what you're playing
and the timing of when you're playing.
Yeah, timing is very important, right?
It's a balance. You know, what you're playing, when you're playing it, and if you're technical about things, then you're a good package.
Yeah, exactly. If you can do everything in one, it's like
keep management happy too. Then you know, then
you're already excelling. You know, like more than a lot of DJs, right? But it's hard. It's very hard. I feel like it's harder as a full-time DJ because you're just kind of like, that's all you have. So you kind of have to rely on like as much work as possible to do that, and then you kind of just get stuck doing the same kind of thing all the time, and you know, being in the same. It's almost like a routine, right?
We all fall into that. Like we just know this is gonna work. Yeah. You know, and that's something you have to be like, oh man, I need to do something different. Especially if someone calls you out on it too. That's why being around other DJs definitely helps too. Like seeing someone else, and you're like, oh wow, that's a good idea. Yeah,
you know, I think that's like a good takeaway for a lot of DJs. Is like, no matter what level you're in, right? You should go out and listen to other DJs because it does not only give you a wider range of music to play, because you know, like I know there's those memes of like the DJ memes where you're next to the booth and they have the Shazam out, right? Yeah, it's true though. Like it only helps you, right? Like as much as like requests, like a lot of DJs don't like requests. Personally, I like trying to take them as long as it fits.
Yeah, if it fits, no problem.
Like even if it's like a little, like a song I don't know, but like I'm like, well, that artist is pretty popular, right? And like based on this crowd, like it could work.
And it sometimes is wild when you take a request and it works. Yeah. And you're like, oh shoot, I didn't know.
Exactly. It just opens up a lot more doors for you in terms of the music, right? That you may not be comfortable with or you not even know, right? So like that's why I feel like requests are you know, underappreciated in this industry. I mean, obviously every DJ hates the annoying the annoying people who come
up to you. It's the balance, man. It's the balance. You know, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And you just try to do your best to be polite about it, you know?
Exactly.
You know, so where can we see Sasin going? What's the trajectory? Where can we see, what's the goal? What are we looking to do?
Oh, man. I think where I'm at now, I should go back, like circle back a little bit, because I also forgot, like, for most of my career, even before I did the Nightlife, I was doing private events as well, like not even just for Rutgers, but like my own private events, like weddings, Sweet 16s, and corporate events. And you know, after going through all these different parts of the DJ industry, I realized like it's not really feasible for me to do this full time. Like I don't see myself doing it full time because I think there's a lot of gigs I don't want to do, right? Like, for example, like I've done a lot of weddings, as you have, right? And like I just personally don't enjoy them. It's like the same thing every single time. Like even if it's a different couple, you kind of play like the same kind of playlist, right? You always have like those one or two couples that are just like, we don't want any
they want eclectic music or something like that.
Yeah, right. Like those you get those every once in a while, but like if you're taking like 200 weddings a year, there's a good chance you're playing the same playlist every single time.
Sure.
And like the expectations are also low at weddings, so like you can get away with just not DJing, right? Which I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
Like I personally would rather do a nightlife set, right? Because I get to choose how the vibe goes throughout the night and control the room. But at the same time, I feel like doing the nightlife thing for so long too, I'm seeing that like to balance out the pay and how much I actually enjoy doing like these 5-6 hour sets, it's like it's difficult. Like I feel like I would rather do the sets that get to really showcase what I can do and my increasing skill as a DJ and artist rather than just putting on a 5-6 hour open format set, right?
Yeah.
Because like I could do that any day of the week, but like they're draining, right? And the money is just not increasing for those kinds of sets because they look at you like, well, you're gonna have to just play music that whole time, right? You're more of like a jukebox to them, rather than like, oh well, we booked you because you have a very
we booked you for you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. There's a difference between we need a DJ and no, we want you.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to completely veer off from the open format either, because like open format's awesome in my opinion.
It's fun. I love it.
Like I love switching between genres like all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can't stick to one for more than an hour max. That's the absolute max, right? Like because like on average I don't think I even want to stay in one for more than 15 minutes, right? Like,
it's fun just jumping around because you keep things spicy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just keep things changing it up. So.
Yeah, because so many like every like even BPM ranges, right? If you think about it, there's so many genres and subgenres within a range of BPMs, right? It's like, why limit yourself?
Oh yeah,
right. It's it's hard when it comes to like open format DJing. It's like, you just kind of get stuck playing the same type of thing or doing the same things that work over and over again, and I just can't see myself wanting to stick with that for long. So, I think doing the shorter 2 to 3 hour sets where I get paid a little more, or even a little less, right? But that might help me career-wise.
Yes.
I think that's where I'm going right now.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying is, you're taking a step back, but to grow.
Exactly. Yeah, because right now I'm practicing like multiple times weekly. I take a master class that's 2 times a week. That's all technical.
Nice.
Like it's not even the marketing side of things.
Nice.
It's all technical, and I want to incorporate more of that because I feel like that pushes me to like on a creative sense, right? Not just like the music I'm playing, but also like how I'm mixing things, right? Like because I feel like nowadays anyone can mix.
Yeah.
Right? It's not very hard to.
I mean, look how many new DJs there are. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely it's not hard to learn.
Not at all.
To master, but it takes time, but it's easy to get into because if you get a controller, you can learn how to beat match, and then you got your gig.
Yeah. I mean, now you don't even need to be matched. Everyone's got a sync button. Right?
This would be funny when some people come over and they're like, where's the sync button on this? It's funny. But so taking a step back to go forward, and so basically what you're saying is we're going to see you on some big stages, like God willing, in the future.
I would hope so. I mean, I think like definitely like the festival type gigs and the club gigs is what I'm aiming towards, right, in the future. And behind the scenes, I'm still working on my branding, working on the music, and the skills all at the same time. And I think what I'm blessed about with that whole situation is that, you know, I work full time, not in the DJ industry. So like, I kind of have the option of being like, well, I don't like these type of gigs or doing things just for the sake of money, right? And I'd rather like find ways to stick out so that people will book me for me rather than
just I need a DJ.
Yeah.
And it's and that's a beautiful thing when you have that another source of income. You don't have to be like, oh man, I have to do this gig.
Exactly.
You know, so that's exciting. I mean, like, so we're excited to see where you're gonna go. So when we come back and we do another interview, you know, we're like, oh shoot, this is what guys. And lastly,
hope so.
Where can the people find you? What's your social?
At Sasin Official, SASIN Official, and that's same tag everywhere: YouTube, SoundCloud, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Well, now X.
Yeah,
you can find me anywhere.
Easy. Well, there you go. We have my man Sasin in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in to Behind the Booth. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yo, catch you guys on the next one. Peace,
guys.